I'm Jusko from ProblemMoney.com. In this video, we are going to look at the best travel credit cards on the market. Before we do, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So if you are interested in a travel credit card, there could be a number of reasons that you're thinking about it. Maybe you are going to make a big trip sometime within the next year. Maybe you're getting married and it's a honeymoon. Or maybe you just got a new job where you know you're going to travel a lot. Or maybe you're just someone that spends a lot on your credit cards and you want to accumulate points for travel. So there are a lot of different reasons, which means when the question comes up, what is the best travel credit card? The answer always, of course, is going to be, it depends. But that said, if you put me on the spot and I was trying to satisfy as many desires for as many people as possible when it comes to a travel credit card, I'd start you off with the Chase Sapphire Preferred because of the flexibility in redeeming the points you earn on the card, the low annual fee, and the ability to pool points with other cards and even get a bonus on those points that you may have earned on other Chase credit cards. The Chase Sapphire Preferred $95 annual fee. As I make this video, you've got a new cardholder bonus opportunity of 60,000 points if you spend at least $4,000 with the card. In the first 3 months of having it, those 60,000 points are going to be worth at the very least $750 worth of travel. So $750 worth of travel on a $95 annual fee, and that first year looks pretty good. In terms of the everyday rewards, 3 points per dollar on dining, 2 points per dollar on travel, except for 5 points per dollar when you book your travel through Chase's Ultimate Rewards travel portal. You've got 3 points per dollar on most streaming services, 3 points per dollar on online grocery purchases, which is sort of a strange category, and then 1 point per dollar everywhere else. Now, when you go to redeem those points, if you redeem them through the Chase Ultimate Rewards travel portal, you'll get a 25% bump in the value of the points. So that bonus of 60,000 points, normally we might think of that as being worth $600, a penny per point. However, in this case, if you use them through the portal, $750 of value is what you would get. Now, I said that this card has flexibility. You don't have to use your points through that portal. You also could take your points and redeem them for travel by transferring them into one of the frequent flyer or hotel rewards programs of one of Chase's travel transfer partners. Names like United, Southwest, Marriott, Hyatt, and there are more as well. So you have the flexibility. Say you find something on United, it's a great deal, and you want to be able to move your Chase points over there to take advantage of that deal. You can without committing completely to the United program or committing to the Southwest program or Marriott or Hyatt or any of the others. So it gives you that flexibility. Oh, and one more point to make about flexibility. If you decide for whatever reason that the points you have you're not going to use toward travel, you still can cash them out through Chase Ultimate Rewards at a penny per point, which is an advantage Chase has over most of the other travel programs out there, which usually are going to give you the best deal on travel, but give you kind of a worse deal if you decided that you wanted to cash your points out. Now, when I recommend the Chase Sapphire Preferred, in my head, I am thinking that you would not get only the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I am thinking that you would also get at least one other Chase card, maybe two, and take the points that you earn from these other cards and transfer them into your Chase Sapphire Preferred account so that you can either use them with the travel transfer partners or get that extra 25% when you redeem through the portal. So you have other Chase cards where you can earn enhanced rewards on different categories than what the Chase Sapphire Preferred has. Chase Freedom Flex, for example, has 5% categories where you can earn 5 points per dollar. So if you have that card and you earn 5 points per dollar in certain categories throughout the year, well, then you could take the points from the Chase Freedom Flex, transfer them into the Chase Sapphire Preferred account, and then get that extra 25% boost, which now means those 5 points per dollar are 6.25 points per dollar, or 6.25% you might think of them as, or you would have even more points with the travel transfer partners. So it's almost like you might have 2 or 3 cards, 3 cards being what they call sometimes the Chase trifecta, and getting all that extra value on all of those cards because you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So anyway, before we get off of the Chase Sapphire Preferred, 2 things to know. Number 1 is the Chase 524 rule. Chase says if you have gotten 5 credit cards or more in the last 24 months from any credit card issuer, they aren't going to give you a new credit card. So you should take that into consideration if you're going to apply for this Chase credit card or any other. Also with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, it has a minimum credit limit of $5,000. So you have to be able to qualify for at least $5,000 worth of credit. All right, now let's look at other options that maybe would fit you better. A common question is, should I go for an airline-specific or hotel-specific credit card? Something from American Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest, Delta, Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott. All the big names have one or many times more than one credit card that you might choose, and these cards oftentimes are going to have big bonuses. You're going to get enhanced rewards, so when you fly those airlines or stay at those hotels, oftentimes there's going to be a bump in status. Maybe you're going to get free checked bags, early boarding, all of those kind of things. So there's a lot to like about these cards. The thing you do give up though is flexibility, because in most of the cases these points or miles are only going to be good on one airline, or maybe if there's some sort of alliance you can use them on more than one airline, but still you're somewhat restricted in terms of how you can use those miles or points. So if you have a ton of miles on one airline and you find a great deal on a different airline, well, you can't use those miles obviously with a different airline, where if you have a card that has flexible points and you can use them with different airlines, well then really you can find the deal and put those points wherever you want to. So that's how you get restricted. But if you are always flying the same airline or always staying at the same hotel chain, maybe you have an airline hub near you and that's like almost the only choice you're going to have for almost all your flights, well then these cards definitely can make sense. That said, I don't know if there's any particular credit card that I would say is better than another when it comes to specific airline or hotel chain credit cards, because of the fact that to a certain extent you're actually weighing the different airlines and hotel chains versus the other, and then you're choosing a card that fits the one that you think is right for you. But usually the card that is going to be the best from whoever you do choose is going to be sort of the crowd pleaser card that they offer, which oftentimes is going to be something that has like a $95 or $99 annual fee. It's going to have a nice bonus. It's going to have pretty good rewards versus like a no annual fee card that's going to have very paltry rewards, which usually I would say stay away from no annual fee travel credit cards, even though they sound good on the surface. Or you might have a card that has a huge annual fee that is offering people that are only the very most extreme travelers a really good deal. So usually if you find a airline or hotel that you want to get specific with, go for that sort of middle, just right credit card. Now, I talked about the Chase Sapphire Preferred being used in combination with other Chase cards in order to maximize your rewards. People that are very into credit card rewards will sometimes call this an ecosystem. There's the Chase ecosystem, that combination of cards being used together. Probably the biggest competitor to Chase when it comes to an ecosystem is the American Express membership rewards program. Now, for me, I find American Express's membership rewards program a little less user-friendly, especially to sort of the beginner who isn't sure what he or she wants out of maybe their travel credit card. But some people really, really love American Express and their membership rewards program. Especially people love their travel transfer partners, which include Delta, include Hilton, and a lot of international airlines. If you are someone that loves the idea of maybe aspirational travel where you're going to get a free flight in business class to some international destination, that seems to be the place where people who love American Express really go to find their fix. Now, you can get some of that with Chase through their travel transfer partners as well, but American Express seems to be the place where people really feel like they can find great value out of their points. However, it takes a little more work in order to get to the place where you can find those different values, that outsized value, and so you have to decide how much work you want to do. And then there is the fact that the entry point sort of into the American Express ecosystem is a little more expensive. All of the cards, or sort of the cards that I would say if you want a travel card you would consider, are going to have higher annual fees. The gold card is probably the best entry point, I guess I would say, to some extent. That is a $250 annual fee. Platinum's card has a $695 annual fee. The green card right now, can't remember, $150, $195, somewhere in there. So all of them are going to be a higher annual fee in order to get into that ecosystem. Now, all of these cards are going to have certain travel credits and other credits with them, where if you have the card, you can use that to sort of justify in your mind why you're paying that annual fee, because you're sort of getting paid back from them. But Again, if you're someone that is getting travel credit cards for the first time, you might be looking at it and saying, well, why do I want to pay that much for this credit card when I can go somewhere else and not pay as much of an annual fee to still get a lot of value? And then Capital One also has its own sort of ecosystem with the Venture Miles cards. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have even talked about Capital One, but the launch of the Venture X, however long ago that was now, kind of changed things. A nice higher end travel card, but with a little bit lower annual fee than some of the other high-end cards out there that gave you airport lounge access, nice big bonus, easy to understand travel credits. A pretty nice package is sort of put Capital One into the conversation. Now, they still don't have quite as good of redemptions as you might get from Chase or American Express, in particular when it comes to travel transfer partners. They have some, but they aren't as good. They aren't the names you're going to know from the U.S. travel companies. It's more international airlines for the most part. However, Capital One into the conversation now. Which brings us to a discussion of airport lounges. Is that something that is important to you, to access airport lounges when you travel? Do you travel often enough where that's really something that is high on your list? The Venture X made kind of a splash because of the fact that at a $395 annual fee versus $500 plus, $600 plus of other cards it competes with, it gave you that airport lounge access as well as the other things I just talked about. So you get access to the Priority Pass network, which is the same network for the most part that a lot of other cards use, which gives you access to 1,000 plus airport lounges around the world. Capital One starting to build their own lounge network, their own branded lounges. As I make this video, they only have one, but they are trying to increase that as well. But you have access to airport lounges here at a much lower price point, so that is something where Capital One has done a good job. Now, you can also get access to airport lounges through the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is the higher annual fee card that is sort of the sister card to the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which we talked about earlier. This one's got a $550 annual fee. It's going to give you more in rewards than the Preferred. It's going to give you a 50% boost on the value of your points when you use them through the Ultimate Rewards portal. It's got a big travel credit, so it has a lot more going on, but a much higher annual fee. For people that travel often, it is a card that they might use as the centerpiece to a Chase trifecta instead of the Chase Sapphire Preferred. But it is certainly not for everyone. But if you want airport lounge access, this is another option for you, but at a higher annual fee than when you look at that Venture X card. But of course, the most dominant of the airport lounge networks is going to come from American Express and the American Express Platinum card, which includes all of the Priority Pass lounges that you can get from the other guys, but also includes American Express's own Centurion lounges. So most people, if they really, really want lounge access, American Express is probably going to be the most attractive, especially from cards that offer sort of the flexible points versus being cards from a particular airline. So even at a $695 annual fee with the American Express Platinum, people that travel an awful lot, that is worth paying because of the fact that those airport lounges are very important to them, and all the rest of the things that are on the card, whether it's rewards or whether it is travel credits, those are secondary, especially if the company's paying for it. And then some of the airlines do have higher end credit cards where sort of the biggest feature is the access to the airport lounges from that particular airline. American, Delta, United come to mind. So you can see that as you start to weigh different variables and think about things that are of high importance and things that are of low importance, what the best travel credit card is for you may be different than it is for someone else. And then another topic that I haven't discussed yet is the fact that with a lot of travel credit cards, you may or may not have travel insurances and protections, and you may weigh those highly or low. Some people really care about those. Some people never even think about them. Things like trip delay insurance or trip cancellation insurance, or baggage delay or lost baggage reimbursement, all of those sorts of things. You've got car rental insurance on a lot of cards. So for some people, they're going to use the card that has those insurances, especially if they travel often, because they assume that sooner or later they're going to come upon one of those problems. For other people, that's not even going to weigh into the whole discussion. And then there are a few other cards I want to mention because they haven't necessarily fit into the discussion that we've been having so far. Number one is the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve card, which is one of the higher end travel credit cards with a $400 annual fee, but it has $325 potentially in travel credits. You have limited airport lounge access with it. You have 3 points per dollar on mobile wallet purchases, which is something that a lot of people really love about it. I put this card maybe a step down from some of the other cards that we have talked about that are on sort of the higher end in terms of annual fees, but some people really love it. The Navy Federal Credit Union Flagship Rewards card is a very simple card with a $49 annual fee that gives you 3 points per dollar on travel purchases, 2 points per dollar on everything else, and has some other features also that can make it a decent travel card if you don't need all the bells and whistles. Now, for the most part, what we've talked about is earning travel rewards on your cards, but if you are someone that travels to a certain extent and you don't care so much about earning travel rewards, but you'd like to get something extra on those travel purchases, you might look at a card like the Wells Fargo Autograph Visa that has no annual fee and it's going to give you 3 points per dollar or 3% cash back on most of your travel purchases. You have the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards card where you can choose to get 3% back in one category that you can choose travel as that particular category. So if you're new to travel credit cards and aren't quite sure what you're doing or what you want exactly, yeah, I'm going to put you in that Chase Sapphire Preferred and get you into the Chase ecosystem to see how that works for you. And then all the rest of the things we talked about, if you want to go further or if you don't like what you're getting out of that, don't like that as an option, you can look at the specific airline cards, the specific hotel cards, go into the American Express ecosystem and see if that is something that works for you in terms of your spending patterns and how you want to redeem points and miles. That is it. Tell me your circumstances in the comments and I'll tell you what I think the right travel credit card is for you, or leave me any other comments that you want to in the comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not going to leave a comment or go to the website, you might want to watch this video.